Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Gianna Lewis. Welcome to Be My Guest. Today we have a real treat today. Back by popular demand, encore appearance, we have Michelle Fishpaw, the author of Claire's Voice. You've seen this on recently. And she has brought Claire with her. Welcome, you guys. She has brought the star of the show, what the book is about. And this little girl is one lucky lady to have a mother like Michelle. Let me tell you. Welcome, both of you. I don't know where to begin. This story is the true story about a mom who had, just like I did, put her child in daycare while you're working, this type of thing. And we trust. We trust these people. I mean, why wouldn't I? She seemed nice. And we're going to let you tell it, but listen up, parents. Claire's Voice. Go ahead, Michelle.
So I was picking up Claire at the sitter's home on the fourth day and had to instruct her to call 911. It's been the worst nightmare that I've had to deal with. One of the hardest things in life with consequences that Claire still lives with, the consequences of the actions of one person that was supposed to care for my child when I was working as a teacher. And so it was devastating.
Yeah, you walked in one day. Well, you had a feeling at first anyway, but 2 or 3 days before this happened, and then you walked in to pick her up after work, and you found her crying on the floor, wasn't it?
Face down on the floor.
Face down. And she was how many months old?
She was 11 months old. And I knew something was wrong. On the third day of care, the sitter had talked about her inconsolable crying. At the time, being a new parent, I did not know that was a direct connection to shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah.
So when on the fourth day of care, we wanted to make sure we weren't overreacting as new parents. Claire was still trying to get adjusted to going to the sitter's house. Separation anxiety was...
Yeah. That's a definite. We know that most kids, especially when they're very, very little, I'm not making aware that we have a cat, a male tomcat, who has severe separation anxiety. Paul cannot go into the bathroom without him crying. If he leaves the house, all night. It happens, and I don't know if my son had separation anxiety, but all I know is he was an infant, and he came back, I was telling Michelle, with obviously something had happened on that little fontanelle up on the top, black and blue. They just wanted me to think it was a rash. We took him to the doctor, and the doctor said, no, this is not a rash. Somebody hit him or dropped him. So you went in, and you found Claire there on the floor. And was she crying when you walked in?
Yes, it was a cry that I've never heard before. It was very eerie. It was almost like a moaning.
Yeah.
And as soon as I rushed over to her, she tried to pick her head up to look at me, and her eyes rolled to the back of her head. Her head went crashing down to the floor, and when I carefully held her and turned her over, her eyes that were usually blue, her eyes were so dilated. It was like looking at two black marbles. So I had no idea what had happened. The sitter went silent.
Yeah, she didn't say anything.
She didn't say a word, and she didn't call us she had 3 or 4 different cell phone numbers. She had my mom's phone number. Didn't call us. Right before that, on the third day, I even had a talk with her and said, please, if please call us.
Definitely.
And I will come and pick up Claire.
Yeah,
and
she
find
didn't.
other child care arrangements.
Silent. See, guilty and not able to say, I'm so sorry, or anything like this.
Right.
So she's going to try to keep going, but it's shaken baby. You think that's what had happened. She got so fed up. What's she doing in childcare? She got so fed up with a child crying, she shaked the child.
Right. And she was a mother of a child the same age as Claire. She was in her mid-30s. She was a education aide in the school district. Everyone was, she was well known. Everyone was taking their kids to drop them off. She always had the right answers to my questions during the interview, and
what happened?
Right.
Claire,
Exactly.
when you look back on this, of course you were an infant, you didn't know. And your mom tells you about this person who was your caretaker. Just thinking about it, does it make you feel like, oh my God, I'm so lucky that I got out of that?
Yes, I'm glad my mom called for help and got me the help that I needed.
Yeah, definitely. That's a scary thing to even hear about, let alone what your mom went through. So, she didn't say anything. This caretaker didn't say anything to Michelle. And here's Claire on the floor, eyes rolling back in her head, baby, an infant. And so you grabbed her, you picked her up, and did you tell her, I'm taking her to the hospital? Did you let her know that?
So of course I had the adrenaline rush, and I was experiencing the fight or flight feeling going through me, and something told me to just stay there, because a lot of people, if I would have taken Claire and left her house and transported her to the doctor, to a hospital, then the state, I would have been a suspect as well. And I really truly believe I know God was with me that day.
Yeah. Now, the sequence after that, did you bring her? I forgot. Did you bring her there, or did you go home? Or meet your husband there at the hospital?
So I instructed the sitter to call 911.
Yeah.
The squad came, and I rode with Claire on the squad to Children's Hospital.
Children's in Boston, right?
This happened in Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Yes.
Is it anything like our Children's in Boston? The Children's? It is. Okay, so it's
Yes.
really got a really great reputation.
Yes.
And from there it was, the doctors, they weren't quite sure at first?
They asked if there was any chance Claire had gotten into any kind of poison in the household, and that's when we shared that we had a new sitter, so anything could be possible. That's when, as soon as they heard the words new sitter, they ordered a CAT scan
They knew.
of her brain.
They knew. That's uncanny. You know, they don't, as the old saying is, they didn't get their degrees at McDonald's, did they? They knew when you brought her in. As soon as you said she was with a sitter, by the time she got there, Michelle, was she basically unconscious?
So she was hanging on. She went unconscious in my arms. While we were waiting on the squad, she vomited white foam, was choking on her own. Her breathing was very shallow, and I just kept saying, hold on, Claire, just hang on.
Yeah, how long did it take you to get to the ER? Hopefully
quick. It was pretty quick. I would say they turned the lights on
and the jelly
squad,
beans,
and I would say 10 minutes we were there.
So, were there any kids left there under her care when you left? So I'm thinking, why did she go with you? She could have picked up her own baby and at least showed some sign or showed up behind you.
So she was watching some other children that day, and she did try to say it was the flu.
Oh, yeah.
She did say that. That is the one thing I know.
Yeah.
And that's when she was trying to get me out the door.
And she had a spotless reputation. That's killer. I mean, really, how the heck was this the first child that she had treated this way?
So that's a great question, Jan, because that's what we were wondering. Because we went through the child care agency, she was ranked at the top of their tier system. She, with her level of education, she did all these things to be at the top of the tier system, and still this happened. after we did our research with the agency, she had a background check. So everything
Yeah.
presented.
What was not to trust?
Right, what was not to trust. We did find out through the state investigator, whenever the state went after her, that she shouldn't have still been on the referral list because I believe it was 2 years before this happened to Claire, there was something written
About her?
involving a child. So she should have never been on the list.
She's not now on the list now, is she?
No, and since she has a felony on her record,
Yep.
that was really important for us as parents because I just never wanted her to hurt another child again.
Exactly. Claire, you're going to be a great mother someday if you choose to be, because you'll know your radar is going to be so intense because of your mom being so quick and knowing that something was very wrong. Be a good mother, don't you think?
Yes.
You're a sweet mom. Oh my goodness. We've been talking with Claire Fishpaw, Claire and her mom, Michelle. Michelle wrote the book. You may have seen the show recently. Claire's Voice. It's true. Parents out there, if you've ever gone to pick up your child at daycare or whatever, we all know you're supposed to trust the person you've left him with. Well, I left my son when he was 4 or 5 months old, and I trusted. And I don't know many people who come home with the same problem when they see their child with their fontanelle up here, black and blue, and with Claire, 10 times more serious. She was foaming at the mouth, laying on her back. It was shaken baby syndrome. How can they get a hold of your book, Michelle?
So my book is available at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon, Apple Books, and through my website at michellefishpaw.com. And it's here in the library as well.
It's here, right here in the Upton Library. And before we forget, you were going to be over at the Tatnut Bookseller on Sunday, March 6th,
Yes.
1 to 3. Are you going to be going with her, Claire?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, Claire can go shopping, or she can actually tell people who come right by the table, like, and this is Claire, because Mommy realized something was very, very wrong. I wonder how many parents don't get it who might not have realized that.
I know. In a lot of cases, the parents don't realize, and they transport their child home and believe whatever the sitter tells them, whether it's the flu or
Yeah.
that their child's tired. They get home and then the child ends up
Yeah,
dying,
not making it.
not making it.
Right. I mean, it was so obvious, the black and blue mark on my son's infant head. Right there, of all the worst places. And I'm like, that can't be a rash. But you know what? We're all human. I don't know. Is it? Just like you, we got him off to the doctor like that. And I don't know. I don't know if he reported them or he was saying something about a number, a 51A. What is? I don't know what that is. But probably like you and your husband, they did not come at us for doing anything because we both brought him in. I think if you had, I don't know. I don't understand that mentality. Do they not show up with their child? Do they get someone else to? I don't know. I can't believe that nobody would be there. And the staff was great to you, right?
Yes,
They were great.
they were wonderful. We were so lucky to live in a community that they were highly trained. They worked as a team. They had the system down and diagnosed Clara and got her the help right away.
Yeah.
Because
There was a point where you thought maybe she wasn't going to make it.
yes,
What was that like?
that was, I don't even know if I have the words to describe that feeling. It was frightening.
Terror, God.
It was devastating to have a healthy, vibrant 11-month-old and then to see them struggling
Yeah.
to survive. She was unconscious for around 13 hours. The doctors couldn't tell me whether she would ever wake up or not. They couldn't really tell me. There were a lot of unknowns
Right.
along the way.
Did they put her in a coma?
No. So she was unconscious for around 13 hours.
Yeah.
And then she woke up after that on her own. And I write about the whole experience in the book because there were so many things I was processing, but I remember with her opening her eyes for the first time, and I went to talk to her, and she screamed and was terrified of me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did not expect that. All I wanted to do was to be there.
Would it be a
her.
flashback to the caretaker? And at that age, would she have known, like, the person
Right.
who is going to touch me is going to hurt me?
Right. I do know that for a long time, because I had dark hair,
Yeah.
and the sitter had dark hair, and for a long time, anybody, as Claire was recovering with dark hair, she just didn't feel comfortable around.
Yeah.
And plus, she had pools of blood behind her eyes from the retinal hemorrhaging, and so I don't think she could see very well. But that was shocking to me.
Definitely. How long were you in the hospital? Do you remember? Well, you don't remember it, but do you remember that, as far as your mom making the book, how long you were in the hospital before you were brought home? Do you remember that at all? The number, maybe
8 days.
8 days. And
8
when
days.
when you brought her home, I know that the progress was like, I think you wondered, is this ever going to change?
Right. I was actually terrified to bring her home. I was excited she was being released from the hospital, but then all of our medical support wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I know that they were a phone call away,
Mm-hmm.
but I just knew our lives had been changed forever, and I was with the unpredictability of dealing with Claire's diagnosis. I just wasn't sure
Yeah.
what I was going to encounter.
Well, it's a whole new ball game. Who thinks they have a child, right? And that somebody is going to do this?
Right.
It's like I don't know, like a car accident hitting your face.
Yes.
And I used to be a nanny with kids, so I understood how. I knew they could have like tantrums and things like that, but there are techniques. You don't take the
Yes.
kid and shake them to death.
No.
You don't do that.
No.
What advice would you give, Michelle? Any parents out there? What would you say?
I would say trust your intuition. You're the parent. Advocate for your child. No matter if you sense something, just trust your intuition and take your child out of
Yeah.
the situation.
Yeah, I had to fight to get him out of there, but I stood my ground. I basically said, I'm going to be taking action with the Better Business Bureau if you do not, because it was sort of like an organization agency, and they could sort of pick different places. I said, you're going to have to do this. So I kept him home until they did find a better place, which was really fine. It was really good. She was actually a lady in our town. She'd only have him in the morning, So I felt very comfortable with that. And she might write me a note or say, well, he did this or that today. Great communication. The other was
Yes.
scary. I don't think they're in business anymore. I've gone down by there. There's no sign out front.
Interesting.
The caretaker you had, did she go to jail or not?
Yes, so she ended up going to jail for 90 days.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh my God.
And she had a 5-year probation that she got out of probation early, released from her probation.
Legally, did you and your husband go after her?
So we did file a civil suit just to make sure Claire's future, because we're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to be sure that she was taken care of.
Exactly. So you had special assistants come in and help, and the preschool, kindergarten, getting into school process, that was not easy, right? It was like...
Right. That was another journey, the educational, just educating Claire. And I have my master's in teaching, and I had to see what would work for Claire.
Yeah.
And I was learning right along with her.
Sure.
And then I had to communicate that information to the teaching staff. They were wonderful.
Right.
All the teachers that she had. We had the IEP meetings. The
IEP?
Yes.
My own kid had an IEP. I had to fight for that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's easy to get a 401. Is
Right.
it? Try to get an IEP. I finally went through Boston, got a free mediator through the Children's Federation. She was fantastic.
Yes.
She sat down with them, she sat down with me, we came to an agreement, and you got an IEP. So most parents don't know they do have the right to say, hey, this is going to happen. We're paying you,
Exactly.
you're not paying us.
Right. And it was a great plan, and like you said, we brought professionals in. A neuropsychologist came in. We paid her to come in to talk to the teachers with what strategies
Sure.
would
Right.
work for Claire's learning.
How about learning? Claire, do you remember, what was it like for you going through school? Was it fun? Was it hard? Do you remember? A little bit? Yes, no? Was kind of difficult? But you were in with other children who maybe had challenges too, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And now I hear that you graduated and are a massage therapist. You got your diploma in that?
Yeah.
That is so cool. I said you could come home with me. You could live in our house. Oh, I think that is such a terrific thing. The empathy, because of what you've been through and your mom has been through, will go with your massaging. That will come through to your patients, the people you help. That is so cool. That is really good. Now, you're both from you're in Narragansett.
Yes.
Anything coming up sooner than March 6th for your appearance?
So I just worked on a blog. I've been working with people all around the United States. My recent blog was just sent yesterday to Groundworks Ohio.
Yeah.
And because they're experiencing a crisis in childcare right now, just like so many states,
Yeah.
because quality childcare was always an issue before COVID, and now we are year 2 during COVID, and they are, just like other businesses, having trouble staffing these places and holding on once they get the staff, retaining the staff. So I'm hoping some public policy, I'm hoping that they will
step up
and support, because it can't just be one person. It needs to be many people, and I'm hoping that through sharing our story, it helps others just realize the dangers of what can happen if there's staffing issues, if quality people aren't being hired that have that aren't trained or educated as well as they could be.
And when you first met this caregiver, I used the word, she seemed to answer all the questions right.
Yes, she did.
She had everything.
We did. The scary thing, Jan, is as new parents, we did all of our homework, and still this happened. So
That is scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
So I just think I'm hoping through educating. That's what keeps me going,
Sure.
and talking about this. And Claire was my biggest cheerleader when I was writing the book.
Exactly. We're talking with Michelle Fishpaw, who wrote the book, The True Story of Claire's Voice, and Claire is sitting right beside her. She is the daughter who survived the shaken baby routine from a caregiver Mom and Dad trusted. And I'm glad she's back on with us. She's welcome to come back anytime, both of you. The word needs to get out. Not a lot of parents understand it. Maybe some medical, to take them to an ER. The guys scratch their head. They're not sure what it is. Your instinct and my instinct were like, no. This is not my kid. This is not right. There's something very wrong.
Right.
It's where are you? How can they reach you, Michelle, if they'd like you to come and speak? Besides getting your book?
Sure. Thank you. So if you go to my, you can reach me at my email, clairesvoice@michellefishpaw.com. And there's a QR code on the back of the book. If you scan, you could even scan the QR code and that'll take you directly to my website.
The picture on the back of the book, in the middle, is that you, Claire, or Mom? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's you when you were a little one, right? That other picture is you. And then the other one is Mom, Dad, and you? No, all of you.
And
Yeah.
Grace, my youngest daughter, who illustrated the front cover of the book.
Who's the blonde?
Me. My hair was longer.
Okay, that's okay. And that's your younger daughter beside you.
Yes,
And then
with
Claire-
the darker
Claire.
hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Dad.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. What a great picture. Daddy brought them, I guess,
you.
today from Narragansett. You can come on up, Dad, see it anytime. You come back on, come and sit in the cheerleading section, and you can watch the whole show. So on March 6th, coming up at Tatnock Bookseller, which is in Westboro, from 1 to 3. It's a Sunday. It's a good time. Michelle is going to be there, and her daughter Claire, who the story is about. And Claire is very, very lucky and blessed to have had Michelle as her mother, of course the husband, her father, who knew right off the bat something was very, very wrong. Were the other children, when you went in to pick her up, were they quiet, or what was going on? Anything?
So, I just remember focusing in on Claire.
Yeah.
And I remember other children were there.
Mm-hmm. Was this woman taking drugs or drinking by any chance?
Not that I know, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, because if she couldn't handle a child who's crying, who's very upset, yeah, the reaction she gave you is just, to me, bizarre. There was basically no reaction. Was she anesthetized with booze?
Well, and to this day, Jan, even during the trial, she had a blank look on her face,
Yep.
stone cold, stared straight ahead. And to this day, she's never shown any type of remorse, has never admitted to doing anything, has never apologized.
Yeah.
And she even went on to the media after the court case and said publicly that Claire was a defective child since birth.
Oh.
And we had pediatricians
Yeah.
testify on the stand, medical documentation to
Do you
prove.
think she was covering for did she have one of her children, another older child, might have done that? You know, little ones, maybe they think it's a dolly, you know, and they shake. Could it have been, and she was covering up for someone else?
That's a good question. I believe all of the children she was watching 6 children
my
and
God.
under. And
That's
they were,
a lot.
and we
and-
made sure there weren't older children just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. They
but-
get better. Yeah, they get physical with the child.
Right.
I'm just guessing off the top of my head that too many kids. You get your little ones. Like Claire was still brand new, an infant, and you get these little ones together. This sounds like this woman just totally lost it, and maybe she has a mental health issue. I mean, obviously it's like a sociopath not reacting. So something was going on. But this is a voice when you listen to Michelle and you see Claire right beside her. This child survived, and because of her mother Michelle and the father. What's Dad's first name?
John,
John. Congratulations to all of you.
thank you.
What a power example. My gosh. So anyway, we're going to have you back on again. Is there another book coming at all? Or is this it?
So for right now, this is it.
Yep.
But I have started on my second book.
Okay. All right.
At the very beginning stages.
That's in the beginning.
Yes.
So if you'd like to get a copy of it, go on over to Tatnock Bookseller in Westboro on Sunday, the 6th of March, 1 to 3. You'll see Claire, her daughter, and Michelle. You'll see that. Will Dad be with you too?
Yes.
All right. You can see the whole family, and pick up a book like of this, and also come on down to the Upton Town Library. You can borrow one of the editions of this book that is on display now on the dedicated local authors wall. Thank you, both of you, for coming. Thanks for bringing her, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We'll have you back on again. You know, we can come on again. This is a very important topic. I went through something like you did. Nothing is serious, but you know, I mean, it scared the living daylights out of me. And you do, it goes through your head. You think, are they going to think we put a black and blue mark on our baby? You know, but they didn't. I think they caught on that we were like trembling, like, what is this? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.